Good morning and welcome back to A Life Worth Living. I'm Frederick Groth and I believe that God has a plan and purpose for everyone, even you. I have a message of hope and truth to show you a life worth living. This morning we are in Numbers chapter 16. And this is a dark and very terrible chapter, shall we say. It is the story of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram, who rebel against the authority of Moses. And they convince 250 other princes of Israel to follow them. And there's a great unrest in the camp, and God lets everyone know who he chose for each position. And the earth opens up and swallows Korah, Dathan, and Abiram in a great earthquake type deal. And there's a whole lot that goes on here, but there is a principle here that is very important for us as we're striving for success in our life, striving to become better every day, striving to live a life worth living. And that principle is this: that when we get outside of the purpose and principle, or the purpose that God has given us to live by, the talents and the skills that God has given us, when we get outside of what we were created to do, we begin to even fight against God, as it were. See, a lot of people wonder why that life is so hard for them, and life is this and life is that, and we can never get ahead. Well, there are several reasons that can be. But one of the main reasons I find that people struggle, and that is they're not living according to purpose. Living according to purpose is so important. Moses had a purpose. He was not in charge of moving the tabernacle. He was not in charge of taking down the tabernacle. He was not in charge of that. He was the leader of the nation of Israel. Aaron was the high priest. He was not in charge of taking down the tabernacle. He was not in charge of moving the tabernacle. He was in charge of the daily operations of the tabernacle and coming to God for the atonement and sacrifices that Israel gave. Korah and some of the other guys that rebelled against, they had a purpose too. They had a purpose to work in the tabernacle, in moving it whenever God would require them to move. See, they all had a reason, they all had a purpose, but they began to get self-righteous and self-important in what their position in Israel was, and they rose up in rebellion above and beyond their purpose. Nobody was better than anyone else. They all had purpose. I'm not better than you, and you're not better than I am. But we both have a purpose, a different purpose, most likely. And if we can learn that we each have a different purpose, we can learn to work together, my purpose complementing your purpose and your purpose complementing my purpose, and we can work together and make something amazing happen. But when we start living outside of our purpose, when we start living beyond what God has called us to do, that is thin ice, folks. If you want success, live within your purpose. It's very important. You don't need to go beyond your purpose. You don't need to try to do more than what God has created you to do. You do what you do, and I'll do what I do, and together we can make something amazing happen. Now, that's a warning and an encouragement this morning. So get up and go out there and live a life worth living, and do what God made you to do. Have an amazing day. God bless. We'll see you next time.